Stop scrolling. This isn't motivation. This isn't a pat on the back. This isn't comfort. And this is definitely not for everyone. This is for the person who looks calm on the outside but is fighting a brutal, invisible war in their own head. If that's you, listen very carefully. The most dangerous enemy you'll ever face doesn't insult you out loud. It doesn't raise a fist. It doesn't stand in front of you where you can see it. It whispers. It waits until the world goes quiet at 2 a.m. to remind you of every mistake you've ever made. It replays moments you wish you could erase until they feel like they're happening all over again. It convinces you that you're behind, that you're not enough, that you are fundamentally replaceable. And the worst part is that no one sees it. So you keep smiling. You keep functioning. You keep surviving. But inside you are absolutely exhausted. Here is the truth most people are too soft to tell you. Your mind is not broken. It is undisciplined. And anything that is undisciplined eventually becomes destructive. You have been letting a liar run your life. You have been letting a ghost pull your strings. But today that ends. The ancient Stoics knew this long before therapy, podcasts, or self-help books existed. They lived through actual wars, through exile, through slavery and betrayal. They faced realities far harsher than a mean comment or a missed deadline. Yet they mastered something modern people are losing every single day: total control over their inner world. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while fighting crippling anxiety and loss. Epictetus was born a slave and became mentally unshakable. Seneca faced death with a calm smile while most people panic over someone else's opinion. They didn't escape pain. They trained for it. They didn't ask for life to be easier. They made their minds stronger. And that is exactly what we are going to do right now. This is not a feel-good session. This is mental training. This is about giving you the exact mental weapons needed to silence the voice that has been draining your energy, your confidence, and your peace. If you stay until the very end, you will understand why your thoughts feel so convincing and exactly why they are lying to you. You will learn how to stop reacting emotionally without becoming cold or robotic. You will learn how to turn raw pain into clarity instead of endless suffering. This is the moment you stop being bullied by your own thoughts. This is the moment you drop the silent weight you've been carrying alone. Welcome to the training ground. Welcome to Apex Aura. Let's begin. The first truth you must swallow is that you are not your thoughts. Think about that for a second. Truly think about it. If every thought that popped into your head was actually you, you would be 1,000 different people in a single day. You'd be a saint in the morning and a monster by midnight. Your mind is a machine. It produces thoughts the way your lungs produce breath or your stomach produces acid. It is a biological function, often triggered by stress, hunger, or ancient survival instincts that have no place in the modern world. You are not the noise. You are the one hearing the noise. You are the observer sitting in the theater watching a movie play on the screen. The problem is that you've climbed onto the screen and started trying to fight the actors. Stoicism teaches us that the mind has two distinct parts: the impressions that hit us and the judgment we form about them. Negative thoughts will come. That is guaranteed. It is part of being human. What matters is what you do when they arrive. Epictetus once said that it isn't events themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. If a thought enters your mind saying you are a failure, that is just an impression. It is a suggestion. It is a data point. It only becomes suffering the moment you say, "Yes, I agree, I am a failure." That agreement is your judgment. And your judgment is the only thing you truly own. Imagine your mind is like a vast, open sky. Thoughts are just clouds. Some are light and fluffy, some are dark and full of thunder. But the sky doesn't try to hold onto the clouds. It doesn't get angry at the storm. It just lets them pass through. You have been trying to grab the clouds with your bare hands. You have been trying to argue with the storm. Stop. Recenter yourself in the position of the observer. When a dark thought appears, look at it. Acknowledge its presence. Say to yourself, "I am currently having a thought that I am not good enough." Notice the difference. You didn't say "I am not good enough." You said "I am having a thought." That small gap is where your freedom lives. In that gap you are the king. In that gap you are untouchable. Most people spend their lives being dragged behind the chariot of their own emotions. The Stoic steps off the path and watches the chariot go by. You are the sky, not the weather. You are the ocean, not the waves. Now we must address the most common form of mental suicide: arguing with reality. You are suffering right now because you are refusing to accept what is. You are trapped in a loop of "this shouldn't have happened," or "why did they do that to me," or "if only I had done something different." Listen to me, the past is a graveyard. You can visit it, but you cannot live there. And every second you spend wishing the past was different is a second you are stealing from your future. Pain is a natural part of life, but suffering is a choice we make when we resist reality. The Stoics had a name for the ultimate mindset, amor fati, the love of fate. It doesn't mean you like what happened. It doesn't mean you wanted the tragedy or the betrayal. It means you accept it so completely that you turn it into fuel. If it happened, it was meant to happen because it is part of the fabric of reality. To argue with it is as insane as arguing with the fact that the sun sets in the west. You are wasting your divine energy on a fight you lost the moment it began. A person standing in the rain can scream at the clouds until their throat is raw, but they will still be wet. Or they can accept that it is raining, put on a coat and find the nearest shelter. One person is a victim of the weather, the other is a master of their own movement. Which one are you? Most of your negative thoughts are just your ego trying to rewrite history. Why did they leave me? It doesn't matter why. They are gone. That is the reality. Now, what are you going to do with the person who remains? Your business failed? It is gone. That is the reality. What is the next move? Stop asking why and start asking what now. The moment you accept reality exactly as it is, the weight on your chest will start to lift. Not because the situation changed, but because you stopped fighting a ghost. You don't have to be happy about the pain, but you must be honest about the facts. Reality is the only solid ground you can build on. Everything else is a swamp of delusions and regrets. Drop the I wish and pick up the I will. Accept the scars. Accept the losses. Accept the mistakes. They are the price of admission to the life you are living right now. This leads us to the third weapon in your arsenal. Do not trust your first emotion. We live in a world that tells you to follow your heart and trust your feelings. That is the worst advice you could ever receive. Your feelings are often liars, fueled by exhaustion, low blood sugar, and ancient fears that don't apply to your current life. When someone insults you, your first emotion might be rage. When you face a challenge, your first emotion might be terror. If you act on those first emotions, you are no better than an animal. You are a slave to your nervous system. The Stoics practice something called the discipline of assent. When an emotion hits you, you don't just let it in. You stop it at the door. You demand to see its ID. You ask, is this emotion helpful? Is it based on truth? Is it within my control? Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man on earth at the time, reminded himself every morning to keep an untroubled spirit and to look things in the face for what they truly are. He didn't let the weight of the empire crush him because he refused to let the first wave of stress dictate his actions. Think of your emotions like a wild horse. If you let the horse go wherever it wants, you will end up in a ditch. But if you learn to hold the reins, that same energy can take you to the top of the mountain. When a negative emotion hits you, pause. Just pause. Give yourself 10 seconds of silence. In those 10 seconds, you move from your primitive brain to your rational mind. Name the emotion. I'm feeling envy. I am feeling inadequacy. By naming it, you tame it. You pull it out of the shadows and put it under the light of reason. Most of the things you worry about never happen, and most of the things that do happen are never as bad as your first emotion told you they would be. You are not weak for feeling things. You are human. But you are a fool if you let those feelings drive the car. You are the driver. Your emotions are just the noise coming from the backseat. Let them yell. Let them cry. But don't you dare let go of the steering wheel. We must also talk about the narrator in your head, the storyteller who is currently ruining your life. Most of your pain doesn't come from what people do to you, it comes from the story you tell yourself about what they did. A friend doesn't text back and your narrator says, they're ignoring me because I'm boring and they've finally realized I have nothing to offer. That is a story. The reality is simply that a message was sent and not yet replied to. You have taken a neutral fact and dressed it up in the clothes of your own insecurities. You are a victim of your own imagination. Marcus Aurelius wrote that if you are pained by an external thing, it is not the thing that disturbs you but your own estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Think about how much power that gives you. You are the editor of your own life. You get to decide what things mean. If someone treats you poorly, you can choose to see it as a reflection of their character rather than a reflection of your worth. If you lose your job, you can choose to see it as an ending, or you can choose to see it as the violent push you needed to find a better path. One story leads to depression, the other leads to growth. Both stories use the same facts. The only difference is the author. Why would you choose to write a story where you are the loser? Why would you choose a narrative that leaves you paralyzed? You must become a brutal fact checker of your own mind. When a thought says, everyone hates me, ask for the evidence. Where is the proof? When a thought says, I'll never be successful, ask if you can see the future. Of course you can't. You are making up a horror movie and then getting scared of the screen. Stop the production. Fire the narrator. Stick to the facts. The facts are usually much simpler and much kinder than the fiction you've been consuming. You are the author. Rewrite the page. Now, let's look at the soil your mind is growing in, your environment. You cannot expect to have a clean mind if you are living in a mental dumpster. We are the average of the things we consume. If you spend your day scrolling through the lives of people who are pretending to be perfect, you are feeding your mind a diet of comparison and inadequacy. If you spend your time with people who gossip, complain, and play the victim, you will inevitably start to see the world through their eyes. Negativity is a virus, and it is highly contagious. Seneca warned us thousands of years ago to associate only with those who are likely to improve us. This isn't just about the people you hang out with, it's about the content you allow into your brain. Your mind is a fortress, but you've left the gates wide open for every piece of trash to blow inside. You are protecting your phone with a passcode, you are protecting your house with a lock, but you are leaving your most valuable asset, your peace, unprotected. Look around you. Does your room reflect clarity or chaos? Does your social media feed inspire you or drain you? Do your friends challenge you to be better, or do they help you stay comfortable in your misery? You cannot kill negative thoughts while you are actively feeding them every single day. You need a mental detox. You need to prune the dead branches of your social circle. You need to unfollow the accounts that trigger your shadow. You need to create a space, both physically and digitally, that allows your mind to settle. The Stoics valued order because they knew that external discipline leads to internal stillness. If your life is a mess of notifications, drama, and clutter, your mind will never find the silence it needs to heal. Take control of your gates. Be the most ruthless guard your mind has ever known. If it doesn't serve your growth, it doesn't get in. Period. Next, you must realize something very important. You are often tired, not broken. We have pathologized every human emotion. We think because we feel a wave of sadness or a moment of deep doubt, there must be something fundamentally wrong with our brain chemistry. Sometimes that is true. But most of the time you are just running on empty. You are overstimulated, underslept, and spiritually malnourished. Your mind is like a muscle. If you overwork it without rest, it will eventually seize up. Negative thinking is often the first symptom of mental exhaustion. When you haven't slept, every problem looks like a mountain. When you haven't moved your body, every thought feels heavy. When you haven't spent a moment in silence, the noise in your head becomes deafening. You don't need a new life, you need a new routine. You need to stop treating your body like a disposable machine and start treating it like the temple that houses your soul. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that he was a part of a whole, and that he had a duty to maintain himself. Stoicism is not about being a cold robot who never rests. It is about being a rational master of your own energy. If you are spiraling, ask yourself, when was the last time I drank water? When was the last time I walked in the sun? When was the last time I turned off my phone for an hour? You cannot solve a spiritual problem with more thinking. Sometimes the most stoic thing you can do is go to bed early. Sometimes the most disciplined thing you can do is say no to a commitment so you can breathe. Stop trying to fight the storm and just come inside for a while. Let your nervous system reset. Let the dust settle. You'll be amazed at how many problems solve themselves when you finally stop poking at them with a tired mind. Finally, we come to the ultimate weapon, gratitude as a tactical advantage. This isn't about being positive in a fake, shallow way. This is about seeing the full picture. Negative thinking is a form of blindness. It zooms in on the one thing that is wrong and blurs out the 1,000 things that are right. It is a mathematical error. You are counting your losses and forgetting to count your assets. The Stoics practiced a technique called negative visualization. They would imagine losing everything they loved. What? So they could look at what they still had with fresh eyes and realize how rich they actually were. You are likely watching this on a device that would have seemed like magic to a king 100 years ago. You have access to the sum of all human knowledge. You have breath in your lungs. You have the ability to change your life at any moment. If you can't be happy with what you have, you will never be happy with what you get. Gratitude is the antidote to the poison of more. It shifts your brain from a state of lack to a state of abundance. And an abundant mind is much harder to attack. When you are grateful, you are grounded. When you are grounded, you are powerful. Make it a daily practice to find the wins. Not the big ones, the small, quiet ones. The fact that you survived another day. The fact that you have the desire to improve. The fact that you are still here, still fighting after everything life has thrown at you. That is not a small thing. That is a miracle. If you have listened to this entire training, you are already different from when you started. You have the tools. You have the weapons. But tools are useless if they stay in the box. You must practice these truths every single day. Not just when life is easy, but especially when it is hard. Especially when the whispers start. Especially when the war in your head feels like it's becoming too much. Remember, You are the observer, not the thought. You are the master of your judgment. You are the author of your story. You are the guard of your fortress. You are the driver of your emotions. You are not broken. You are just beginning. This is the path of the Stoic. This is the path of the warrior. This is the way of the apex aura. Don't just watch this and move on to the next distraction. Let these words sink into your bones. Let them change the way you see the mirror. You have a fire inside you that the world did not give you and that the world cannot take away. It is time to stop letting your thoughts dampen that flame. It is time to rise. That if this resonated with your soul, if you felt the truth of these words in your gut, then you belong here. We are building a tribe of people who refuse to be victims of their own minds. We are building a community of silent fighters who are becoming loud through their actions. Show your strength. Like this video to help it reach the person who is struggling in silence right now. Drop a comment below with the words, "My mind is my strongest weapon." Let the world know that you are taking the reins back. Share this with someone who is currently lost in the storm. And if you are serious about your inner growth, if you are ready to master your world from the inside out, then subscribe and join us. This is only the beginning of your transformation. Stay strong. Stay disciplined. Stay stoic. I'll see you in the next one.